Welcome to the first full day of our program. This is the first weekend celebration of a 1 full year celebration for the Silver Jubilee, 25th anniversary of the founding of the center. And of course, we had to have Swami Sarvadevananda here for the opening weekend, and we hope he'll be here for the closing ceremony next April also. Everybody knows Swamiji. He's the head of our Vedanta Society of Southern California with all of its different branches. He's also our head of the Ridgely and so many other centers, and we're very grateful he took time out from his very, very busy schedule to come here. And this morning, he'll give the first of a two-part talk. This is Sangha Buddha to Vivekananda. And he'll speak, and then there'll be time for questions. We will request people to write them out. We have some paper and pens here that we can pass around. It should be related to the subject, or if it's not related, that's okay also. So Maharaj, please. And then there'll be lunch at 12:30. Well, let me just do the rest of it then. Then 3 to 4, there'll be bhajans. This will be the chance for all of you individual solo singers and some group singing also. That's 3 to 4. Then 4 o'clock, we'll have the second session of Swamiji's talk. 5 o'clock, tea in the basement, but there'll be a nice video presentation of the early days of the center and other things like that. Then 6:30, Arati. 7:30 tonight, we have a music concert with Saranjan Bhanju Chaudhary. He's a very, very fine, wonderful singer and good devotee also. So please come for that, and then snacks after that. So that's today's program.
Om Sangachadham Sangbadadham Sangbo Manangsi Janatam Deva Bhagam Yatha Purve Sanjanana upasate Shamanang mantra shamiti samani Shamanang mana sahachitame sham Shamanang mantrang abhimantraeva Shamanena va havisha juhumi Shamano maakuti Samana hridayani vaha Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May your mind think alike. May you speak with one voice. May your actions be harmonious. May you live in peace and harmony, just as the ancient gods shared their portions of sacrifice in harmony. May your common objectives unify you. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto us all. This is from Rig Veda, the idea of uniting together. Today is a wonderful occasion to see you all together in this celebration of 25th year of our this center, Vedanta Center of Greater Washington, as also of the 125th year of celebration of the beginning of this Ramakrishna mission. So we are celebrating two together, you can say, coincidence, 25th year and 125th year. So now our discussion today will be focused on the Sangha. The Sangha which we are in and its origin. And if we go back to Buddha and come to this Ramakrishna tradition, we like to think about the speciality of this monastic tradition, how it was united, how it was individual renunciation to a community living in Buddhistic period of time, and how that Buddhistic Sangha turned into Ramakrishna Sangha, and what is the very special turn or twist of that Sangha, the monastic living together and dedicating their life for what purpose, and how they are given a new turn with the Ramakrishna and Vivekananda's advent. So we shall try to explore this wide range of thought in two sessions. So today, the beginning is Sangha. This Sangha ideal, Sangha means getting together, united together. This idea was first started with Buddhism, with Buddhistic Sangha. In Jains, they live together. That gathering started with them. And in this, previously the concept of monastic life was that whenever you are inspired, just give up resounding, no? It is so. The previously idea is that to find the truth or find the purpose of life, people take the path of renunciation, detachment, and giving up all worldly connections, they leave hearth and home and move around in the world like a free wandering monk. Jad harebo birajit, tad harebo prabhajit. As soon as you feel that this life is meaningless, life has no purpose, excepting knowing who am I, or knowing the ultimate truth. That idea comes, don't wait. You renounce at that particular moment and give up all association with the society and live around, go around the forest or in the deep cave of the Himalayas like a wandering monk and lead a life of renunciation and God intoxication together for the achievement of one's own spiritual freedom. That's why you find a Buddhism started by Buddha, founded by Sakkamuni Buddha, was born more than 2500 years ago in northern India as a wealthy prince of the Sakko clan, was given the name Siddhartha or Gautama. We all know at the age of 29, he encountered 4 sights which marked the turning point of life. And we know that the first 3 sights, that there is suffering, which results in aging, and disease and death. These are the 3 things which he saw, showed him the inexorable nature of life and the universal ailment of humanity. That this life, we are all have to face this. And the entire monastic tradition from the Vedic time, this idea is the same driving force for all. That this life is impermanent, it has this disease, it has this decay, and it has this death. And then what is the purpose of life? To find that this urge drove millions of people through the ages to take the path of renunciation and find the truth in their own experience in life. That's why, at that time, we find the 4th sight, which Buddha saw, is that of a hermit with a serene countenance, showed him the means to attain peace. That tradition was going on, Buddha was inspired by that life. This is the problem side, but that's the solution side. And then, as we know, realizing the worthlessness of this wealth, sensual pleasure, he left his family and all wealth, etc., in search of truth of life and eternal peace. And that created a new movement in the monastic tradition. Previously, as I said, monks were, whenever they are seeing that impermanence, they put a question into them, and then they make a journey to that path of separating oneself from the society totally and focusing their life into God realization, or to knowing the truth, or to be established in their divine glory, whatever may be the language. They move in that life to attain peace. And Buddha was inspired also by that. And after 6 years of ascetic practices, he realized that one must practice the middle path, because he was going too extreme austerities. And that's by avoiding the extremes of self-mortification, which makes one's intellect weaken, and other extremes of self-indulgence, which retards one's moral progress. So he realized that truth under the Bodhi tree, he had transcended an ultimate level of wisdom. So he realized the ultimate truth of the universe and gain deep insight into the ways of life. Buddhists call this understanding as enlightenment. And upon the enlightenment, he was given the title called Sakkamuni Buddha. And Sakka means the sage of Sakka clan, and Buddha is the translated one who is fully awakened into enlightenment. So to the path of enlightenment, this path of enlightenment is the path of renunciation and detachment. And to analyze the impermanence of the world. So that gave the monastic tradition totally ignore the other part of life. There is suffering, get away and dive deep into your own self, roam around, free from any attachment. Don't get entangled into it. That was the tradition of monastic order. And that tradition continued. And Buddha, when he came, his life was such a brilliant expression of peace and harmony, but many joined in this mission. And that time also he used to move from one place to another to preach these monastic ideals by their life and by their detachment. And the whole India was influenced by that. We find that although Buddha lived quite a long time, 80 years almost, that time he used to go from one place to another, and these monks will be moving with him, and there are different sreshtis, the rich people, they used to sponsor. They used to welcome Buddha to come and stay in that particular area and give them support, food and nourishment, and they will be having their spiritual practice to help them. And that time, there is no book. Buddha didn't write any book. His teachings were actually what he orally gave, that was collected later. So, Buddha then passed away. His teachings, what he expounded during his long and successful ministry, existed in a way, as his disciples preserved them by committing them into memory, as in every Hindu scriptures also it is done. So it is the tradition of the teachings of Buddha was continued, and after the death, 3 months of the death of Buddha, there is a first Buddhist council consisting of 500 members was assembled to assemble and research the teachings of Buddha, known as Dharma. And Ananda represented the Buddha's attendant. He used to always be with Buddha. And Ananda, who had the attended Buddha and attained Bodhi, he represented the monks, monastic ideas, what he heard from him, and also Upali. He was chosen to answer the questions about the Dharma, and others, he was representing the householders. So this is the first council where the message of Buddha was organized. But it is mainly through the life and dedication of the monastics, as also those devotees who were influenced by Buddha. They have knowledge about Buddha's teachings and understood the meaning of their values. We find that there are 2 other councils. It was held 100 years and 236 years later. One is 100 years, another is 236. and again research the words of Buddha to ensure that the teachings were not polluted. About 83 BC, a council was held in Ceylon to commit the Tripitaka writing. Tripitaka, the literature, means three baskets. They are referred to as the Sutra, and then Discipline, Vinayaka, and Abhidharma, ultimate doctrine. So these are the three books. Gradually it came by that way. The teachings of Buddha were first transmitted outside India into Sri Lanka during King Ashoka. In China, history recorded that two Buddhist missionaries from India in 68 AD arrived at the court of Emperor Ming of Han dynasty and stayed on to translate the Buddhist texts. In Tang dynasty, 602 to 644 AD, a Chinese monk, Xuan Zhang, crossed the Gobi Desert in India, gathering and researching Buddhist sutras, and he returned to China in the 17 years later with a vast volume of Buddhist texts, and therefore spent many years translating them into Chinese. The Buddhist faith eventually spread into the Asia. So this is about how Buddha's teachings were preserved. But Buddha inspired innumerable people, and it became a religion of every home, every house, every family should contribute as a monk. Some of the children should be joined as monk. So monastic idea thus was given to the society more in a wider form by Buddha. Though that's why it is called Buddhism is called the offshoot of Hinduism. Because the Hindu ideal of renunciation and dedication was there, but Buddha put a new dimension into it and gave before the humanity the idea of impermanent side. And there is another aspect of it, which is the peace and joy and enlightenment aspect. So, talking about God is a different issue. That is not the point. Point is the monastic tradition we are talking about. So, only the monastic, as I mentioned, wandering teachers were there, and they used to wear orange clothes, and they used to assemble in early days in the rainy season. That period, sadhus cannot go much and wander and beg for their food. They cannot do that. That's why they used to, in the rainy period, they used to stay in certain place. And when they used to live in certain place, they will gather together and discuss and discourse. And Buddha also did that, because this is rainy season, so many monks, where they will go. So some rich srishti used to provide for their food and other things and shelter, and they used to discuss this philosophical aspect of life, which is called the rain retreat. And they developed little Sangha idea, that they were all moving. But Buddha's time it was because Buddha is the central figure. He was this central attraction. So centering around him, many came. Like Ramakrishna when he was in Dakshineshwar, he was the center of attraction. These monks had all the 16 monks we get as the Ramakrishna's disciple. They could have always, we find that after Ramakrishna's passing away, they are also trying to go away. One is going to north, another going to south, all begging food, and so that is the traditional idea. But this organized way of staying started with Buddhism and Buddha Bihar. That's why if we go to any part of the Chinese the area where Buddha's influence is there, we find that there are many Bihars are there. And you can find some places. I went in Tibet during Kailash trip. There, 2,000 monks can live in that one monastery. And so many monasteries were all over the country. And King Ashok, when he preached, then it also gained more momentum. But this whole idea is that these monks living together, that was shifted, the idea of shifted from individual monastic practice to a group living together. That Buddha created that in this called Bihar and monasteries. And there they used to talk about Buddha's teachings, Buddha, and also debate, finer analysis came, why it is impermanent, and how it can be debated to counteract other philosophies. So it became more philosophy. But these sadhus living together came in Bihar, and all over India and outside India also. We go to Japan, we can go to China, we can go to other areas of the South Asian countries. So many, and now you see even in this country, the Buddha passed away, Buddhist monks and nuns. Even today, we find that there are, here in Los Angeles, we find that there are so many Buddhistic monks. They try to keep the same tradition. They don't cook for themselves. So devotees bring food for them every day, 365 days. And they live together and discuss the philosophy and live that life. So that way of group living, that came, and that those Bihars, it is for the Jains and Buddhism. So we find that in Jainism, Mahavir in 599 BCE to 527, 72 years of his life, just like Buddha, they united this Jain Sangha and existed there. And they also had the monks. There are two types of what is called Setambara, Pitambara and Setambara. So these types of monastic tradition, so they started that like that. So Digambara and Setambara. Digambara and Setambara. So they started two types of monastic, and their Gujarat town in India, in Palitana, there are two, and they even now we find that the Jains are monastics, they renounce everything, but live together with the same idea of Buddhism. So Buddhist idea, wandering with the disciples, and then using the gathering together in the rain retreat time, and some places, and being sponsored by the rich merchants, and like Jetabon, Buddha stayed for a long time, where he spent most of his time. And then that became the source of preaching of Buddha, Buddha's dharma, righteousness, and his Sangha, this organization. Our purpose was that they will build up their life in the example of Buddha's life. It's a caste of, we call Ramakrishna caste. Their caste is Buddha caste. So with that caste they want to prepare their life and build up their life of renunciation, detachment, and attaining illumination. That's called Buddhist, it's called Nirvana or Bodhisattva, state of Bodhisattva. So a state of awakening. Bodhi came from the word Buddha, Bodh. So they are awakened, which was there, they awaken into that consciousness. And then Dharma, Sangha, and building up their life in the Sangha life. So that is the idea, and Ananda was the main who have consolidated the monastic tradition more after the passing away of Buddha. So this idea of associating together and staying and leading a life of renunciation and detachment, and they don't following the path, the eightfold path, right understanding, right thinking, right speech, right action, right type of living, right type of effort, right type of mindfulness, right type of concentration. All these types of the eightfold path, that is the path to lead that enlightenment, they are following that direction according to the teaching of them. But, and the main four principles are noble truths that we have already talked about. That is, there is suffering in life, we find. There is birth, there is old age, there is disease, there is death. Life is dukkha, 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 dukkha. But what is dukkha? Why it is dukkha? Because there is a cause behind it. Cause of suffering is there. And what is the cause of suffering? Oh, there is a cause of suffering because we have desire, because we have, and desire drives us karma. Karma creates our good and bad feeling, and then again it increases the desire. So it is a wheel circle of going back into the wheels of birth and death. And therefore, if that is all, no. There is a cause of suffering. That's one that we understand. Because we are suffering, there must be a cause. But is there any way out? Yes, then the cessation of suffering. It is possible you can end all sufferings as Buddha did it. So that was the inspiration behind them. And there is a path which we can follow also. So all these principles were discussed and lived in the monastery by the monastics themselves, and even making their intellect very sharp and clear to understand that what is the real meaning and purpose of life. They did with the path of total renunciation, total detachment. They followed this path and they started living in this way. And that's why Swami Vivekananda was so much appreciative of Buddha. He says, look at the extraordinary intelligence of Buddha. There is no much emotion there. That great intellect, which is free from all types of misunderstanding, and used to convince on that. Don't believe anything unless you are confirmed with your analysis. And you search for the truth yourself. And you realize yourself the truth. And then you can preach that message which is beneficial for yourself and for the good of others. So, he said that the Buddha and Christ are a state of attainment of that highest state of realization. It's a state of freedom, which Buddha said as nirvana. And he called everyone for this, attaining this nirvana. And this, to be free from ego, the tie of ego, then you release yourself from all bondage. Don't depend on some gods and goddesses or something beyond. Rather, you emphasize yourself on your karma, that means your sadhana. So that was the way. But here we find that this living together, the monastics, it was mostly centered for their own liberation. Of course, when you preach to others, that is something helping the society. But ignoring the other side of the daily needs and sufferings of ordinary humanity. This old traditional monastic order was focused only towards subjective attainment of freedom or subjectively attaining the state of nirvana. But there is no such regulated activity which is directed towards the humanity. In one sense it is that way, because whenever monks move, they are the preachers, because they preach renunciation. Automatically people look at them and they feel they are renunciate. Oh, they are in peace, so we can find some peace by following them. But the uniqueness of this Ramakrishna movement will be here. One was centered to the self, not the petty self though, through this understanding who am I, pointing deeply inside. It is called it was pointed towards self-exploring and serving the self. So the small self can get out of the bondage and can free itself into the state of freedom, or Vedantic monasticism. That also was there. There Shankaracharya established all over India. So many organizations, so many states, places there are for worship and living the monks together. Some monks, but they are not all the time there. But still there are some little patch of monastic traditions. But their activity level was centered around only analyzing the life and trying to be freed from this entanglement of the pain and sufferings of life and to get freedom. Swami Vivekananda came. It was directed towards humanity. It was only directed towards inward journey, but there is no such level of serving the humanity in its different phases of expression, from the level of physical suffering, mental suffering, emotional suffering, intellectual suffering, and the spiritual suffering. That's the uniqueness of Sri Ramakrishna and Vedanta, as preached by Vivekananda, is directed both ways. You direct inward and also see outside whom you see. This is the same here, same there. That is the unique contribution of Vivekananda and in the monastic tradition. And also, it was a huge task for Swami Vivekananda to bring them together from that old traditional idea of monastic living to the living in the monastery, at the same time a place where there is an intermingling of the society and the keeping the same spiritual values of the ancient traditions of monastic life. Same goal, Atma Mukti, freedom of the soul. Same analytical path of analyzing the three states of mind, analyzing the witness consciousness, analyzing that this world is an appearance, but in reality it is Brahman. Nothing losing. But at the same time, a new dimension has been given by this Ramakrishna tradition, where it was totally shifted from being, you can say, in a sense, selfishness to unselfishness here also. It's a strong word, but Swami Vivekananda said that if you want your own salvation, then you are selfish. No, it is your own salvation. Let your salvation be the last. Let everyone get salvation first. So that was a different twist. Of course, Buddha also said he wanted to give his life for the good of others, but not given this type of ideology in the heart of all the recipients of this Vedanta philosophy, and to apply that into life, whether a brahmachari joins or a senior Swami, the goal should be there. You serve God, serve God, serve God, and get liberation for your own self. It is your own liberation and God. So this will be a unique way of leading the monastic life. And Swami Vivekananda had to fight heavily to bring this concept of liberation amongst even the direct disciples, all the other direct disciples. So, because it is traditional idea, just dive deep into your own self. And by that you do good to the world. But here, yes, you dive deep. At the same time, try to serve God with eyes open. So, this is monastic order, group living together, goal of life being the same, freedom from all bondage and suffering, and the traditional values and practices remaining the same, giving a new dimension into life. And that has given to the monastic group, not only the monastic group, but the householder life also. That's why this addition is very unique in the history. That's why we can think about the contribution of this Ramakrishna tradition, which this Sangha is for the good of the many, is for the freedom of many. Swami Vivekananda preached Vedanta, but he was thinking how to assemble all these Ramakrishna's children together, how the devotees can be pulled together and make a united effort there. Sometimes that was missing from the very beginning. Yeah, as we just discussed, in Buddhism it was there, but it was only focused for each one's nirvana state to attain. Shankaracharya and Shankara Mathas, we go, monks live there, but their whole struggle is focused on the study of the scriptures, Upanishadic studies, chanting mantras, as is a traditional, age-old path for self-realization. But the society, is Brahman, is it minus Brahman there? Or is it also Brahman is looking in the form of, appears, it is a Shankara's idea of Vivartavada, whatever may be, it is what you are seeing is Brahman. But you are misinterpreting it because of the ignorance. So, at the same time we say, if you practice your discipline, think that you are Brahman, you are Atman, but at the same time, in practical life when it comes, we can say, Duram apasarare re chandala. That this chandala, who is chandala, the outcast, because you are outcast, though in the highest level of Advaita Vedanta, but there is this in practical life. Of course, during that time it was necessary. I am not going into that discussion. But the question is that keeping their awareness at the highest level, at the same time when they come into the relative, then there is the difference and there is rejection, there is acceptance, there is some are holy, someone is holier than thou. But in the eyes of a knower of Brahman, it should be one. But it is only for few who have gone to that level of understanding both ways, in and out, in their introspective life and also projected into the universe. It is all Brahman manifesting everywhere. Unless that is there established, this difference will remain. Sri Ramakrishna, Vivekananda came to give this twist from the very beginning. Bahurupe sammukhe tomar chhari kotha khujito Ishwar. Where are you searching for God? Giving up the visible God before you. This is the idea of visible God. That's the ultimate truth, no? It is nothing very unusual. Shankaracharya, Vishnu Puri, Sthito Vishnu, Vishnu Khadati Vishnave, Kathang Hasasire Vishnu, Sarvam Vishnu Mayam Jagat. It is, Shankaracharya had that experience, that it is Vishnu, the Lord, who is eating himself, and the dog is also Vishnu. So feeding the dog, Vishnu Puristhito, by I am Vishnu, Chandala, I am sitting on the dog who is dirty. And Vishnu Khadati Vishnave, I am Vishnu, feeding that dog, Vishnu. And Vishnu Khadati Vishnu. And you, Shankara, you are saying Vishnu, you are also Vishnu. You are laughing at me. What a fun. Sarvam Vishnu Mayam Jagat. Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma. That idea is nothing new. It is in the Upanishad, it is preached by Shankara, and traditional Shankarpanthis, that's why they used to dislike this Ramakrishna monks, monastics, in the early days of Kankal sadhus, when they went to go to do service to the people. But there was some difference in angle of vision and attitude. So this is the Sangha. This Sangha is a spiritual Sangha. It is the same Sangha ideal, but it has this different dimension. And Shankara's path, we are Shankaras. We are all Dasnamis, no? We are all Puris. Puris means, not Puri, Giri, Puri, Bharati, Bon, Nadi, Parvat, these are all different, ashram, these are all different, the divisions of the Shankara tradition. Our Guru's Guru is Shankara. We come from the Shankara tradition. But the same Shankara appeared as Vivekananda and gave the same change in attitude of this Sangha ideal, how the monastic Sangha will work. That's why the Himalayan sadhus used to say, "Ito mathur sadhu." It's a Bhangi sadhu. Bhangi sadhu. Bhangi sadhu means a sadhu should be what he will do. They will take the Brahma Sutras and Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishad with the commentary of Shankara and its what is called Bhamati and this and that, all these explanations will be there. Intellectually, day and night they will think, day and night they will say, I am Atman, I am Brahman. And these people, what they are doing? They are giving up all these things, whole day. They are serving, say, the sick people, weak people. So the whole idea is totally new. And it is very difficult to accept that. But you look at that. After so many years, the whole of India has accepted this idea. In most of the monastic order also, you can find there is a wing for serving a human being in different Dasnami Sampradaya also. Akras, they have created some wing, little bit, for service to God in man. So this is a new twist, which this Sangha created, and this Sangha is also created with not only with the monks, but it is also created with the devotees. There is not one wing of the society. Both the wings should be strong. So the devotees, and they are also trying to practice this philosophy of service. So for self-realization, this direction is given. The Sri Ramakrishna Sangha is a Sangha of mainly for the monastics. Mainly started with the two wings. One will be those who can totally dedicate their life for 24 hours for this purpose of self-realization and service, and the householder will have their own responsibility. They will serve their own family, at the same time apply this philosophy of service in their life as much as possible. So this idea of the Buddha and of monastic organization, which flourished so much, but this idea of living together was also there in the Biharas. But this new edition of Vivekananda, Sri Ramakrishna, guided by Sri Ramakrishna in the back, is a unique idea where this application has become, God has become both in and out, with eyes open, as Ramakrishna said, and with eyes closed. Eyes closed, if you see God, you see Brahman, and when your eyes open, Brahman is gone, the world comes. Or it is Brahman, you are misunderstanding as the world. There is no distinction. That's why Nivedita's beautiful words, no? The work, if one, many and the one are the expression of the same reality, then where is the difference between secular and spiritual then? There is no secular, everything is spiritual, everything is divine. So every action is worship, every adoration is worship. Whatever we do, it is service to Brahman. So this idea is this Sangha, a special contribution, and this, as we are talking about how it connects into our life, looking at this center simply, you look at that, this ideology of living your personal life, some sadhus are doing, and so many people are coming here. What you are doing, you come here, you also do the same thing. So it is this, that's called the Sangha. It's a cumulative effect of the high philosophy, trying to make it as much as possible. Someone is talking about, we are hearing, nothing happening. That's the starting point of Vedanta. Vedanta practice is Sravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. So you have to first hear. And whenever you are hearing, we are talking, I am also hearing myself. I am also trying to infuse the idea of the highest ideal again and again. I am reminding myself. That is called the Sravana. And then Manana, deep reflection, deep understanding about this philosophy. And then applying into life. And then total absorption into this. Total absorption here and total absorption there. That will be the perfect teaching which this new age will get it through Ramakrishna Vivekananda and this movement of Vedanta. And that's why this type of center which is continuing for 25 years, or this Ramakrishna Order, look at that, it is continuing 125 years, started in those days in Swamiji, 1897, after going back from here. So when he started, and look at that, this during the past 125 years, how many people, how many young people have joined the order? How many souls got liberated through this Sangha? Look at this Sarvadevananda Math. The same principle, same ideal, uniqueness of Ramakrishna Vedanta, or this Vedanta philosophy, and its application in the monastic tradition. A newness is added here. The nuns, the boys will be there, girls will be there. And look at that. You read the life of Bharati Prana and other Matajis. How many realized soul has come out? How much we know? We do not know how many. We do not. But this years long journey, it is contributing to the society. It is attracting people of pure heart to get a place. Women had no scope early days. Even in Buddhistic monastery, there were some opportunity though, but that was second-class citizen. Even in Catholicism, there is some monastic ideal, but the nuns will be always secondary citizen. All men will be then the top, and they will dictate everything. Even a nun for 10 years, 20 years senior will touch the feet of the newly born, newly joined monk. He is a brahmachari, but he will have to salute because you are a man. I am Brahman, but you are a man and woman. But this is the uniqueness. In Shankara Mata, they will not look at the women. They cannot look at that. Even some traditional monastic tradition is there. Swaminarayan temple, you go. Their principle, I am not criticizing them for that. My point is that is for their tradition. And that's an honest tradition. Ramakrishna didn't criticize anyone. I am not doing that. But I am saying that to understand the distinction, I went in once in London and I went to see, and some devotees were with me who took me to Swaminarayan temple, and I happened to ask them, can I see the Swami here? They said, oh, you are coming from Ramakrishna? Okay, come. And he took me, and all the companions there shut, no, you people cannot come. They have some principle, but this is application is more modern with Ramakrishna. That is my point. Better to say in that language. Most modern language. And here is the open door. Any girl, any boy can join and take this path of renunciation. In a sheltered place, in a shelter where they have community of monks, community of the nuns, and they can culture, elevate, study, and also apply themselves for living God in others. That's not deviating from their monastic tradition an inch of the ancient traditional ideal. At the same time, utilizing the time in that way of serving God. This is service God, here is also service. Service to oneself, service there. So it is all service of the Absolute One. That is the unique characteristic of this tradition. We'll talk about much in the next session also, but the major point is that this uniqueness, this tradition of the Sangha, monastic Sangha, was very rare first. It came in Buddha's period, in Jain period, and even in different pockets, maybe little here and there. But that has no impact in the society. But this is the uniqueness of Vivekananda, uniqueness of Sri Ramakrishna, to start an organization where is a more liberal idea of seeing and serving God in every way and seeing that divinity, not only that divinity, that Atman in everywhere, and giving scope for everyone to unfold that. These monasteries are opportunities. Opportunity you can understand. You find here, when you come, you feel much more happier than in your own place, because you see, oh, here is a place of detachment and love together. Love and detachment working together. You come here, you come to the temple, listen to talk and meet the sadhus and meet the devotees. You feel in another type of community. But they are all spiritually uplifted for some ideology, and each benefiting by its presence. And ultimately goal is leading to the freedom of the soul. So okay, so we end here. Now you can have some questions. Go already. Oh, question is, you mentioned Kailash Manas Sarovar. Have you been there? Is there any? Kailash and Manas Sarovar. Have you been there? Yes, I was there. Is there any organized pilgrimage from Ramakrishna Vedanta Sangha? No. But you can have good, you call tour companies, and they take care of the people. Mostly, you can have a special, some tour companies who takes care of the comforts which the Western body of the Western people are living in the country, they need that care. So they can take you from, you have to just go and drop in Nepal, and then they will take care of you from hotel and back to hotel. If not, can we please start one? Oh my God. No, probably no. DC Vedanta Center can be a pioneer to start such. Okay. Another question is that what is the minimum rituals for householders to follow? How to balance Vedanta practice with householder duties? That is the question. How to balance Vedanta practice with householder duties? That is every time we talk about. Every practice is Vedanta Society's ideal that every action we do, it is service to God. I am serving God. So, whether in household life or in monastic life, we have to think this way, that what I am not doing, it is not my karma, it is not my duty only, but I am doing for whom? This whole universe is permeated by that consciousness and that bliss, Satchidananda, or you call it Atman or Brahman. If that is so, then all service goes to whom? We say that Sarva ki namaskaram ki keshavang pratigacchati. Whenever you do any pranam or say namaste, you are saluting whom? Te means not you, the person. Te means the inner consciousness which is there. So, if we keep this spiritual ideal, oh Baba, if we keep this spiritual ideal, if we can keep this spiritual ideal, so it is matters little whether it is in the temple. In the temple, if I cannot do, I am a failure. If you in a home, you cannot do, it is your failure. But ideal is that we will forget, we will not remember. But again, we have to come back to the consciousness. What I did from the morning, I unconsciously did, O Lord, your work. Or I unconsciously served you. There is nothing but you. These are all waves and ripples in the ocean of consciousness. In the ocean of consciousness, these are all waves and ripples. We are all little ripples. And ocean is the Satchidananda ocean. Each ripple is nothing but ocean water. I don't see as ocean, I see as the ripple. I see as man and women, this good man, good person, bad person, etc. But we have to see God. And we get enormous idea from Swami Vivekananda. Loke jahake bhul koriya manush name akkha deয়. People, by mistakenly, who call is a human being, ami sei Naro Narayaner Sevak. I am the servant of that Naro Narayan. Naro, Narayana, and the Naro. So Naro Narayan, that God. So that is the practice. So that is same for all of us. Buddha and Christ are states of mind. What the difference? Buddha is an awakened state, So, and Christ is the Christ living in the consciousness of that absolute. I am, my Father are one. In that there is no distinction. But when the expression comes, we call Buddha. Their path is one way, leading to the roof of the, or top of the mountain. And Christ is another path. But Christ is really that experience. Christ consciousness. That's why St. Patrick, who said, Christ in the front, Christ in the back, Christ on the left, Christ on the right, Christ everywhere. So it is you are only using the word Christ in that sense. But though church religion may not accept our philosophy, Gnostic gospel we find such expression there much. So, but Buddha is not a person, not a man, but a state of awareness. So in that awareness, if we go, there is no difference. There is no difference between a Vedanta, there is no difference between Buddha, there is no... But when you come down little, in the one step down, yes, practices are different, thinking, way of thinking is different, but that there is no difference at the end. Is moksha means not born again, it mere merge with God. What is actually moksha? What is actually moksha? Moksha means liberation. Mukti, the word comes from freedom. Mukta means free. Mukti is a state of freedom. So state of freedom means if you really reach the state of freedom, why you will be born again? And you want to be born? Yes, you can do. Bodhisattva state, they come back, again for the good of humanity. That's your choice. But if you want to go, you need not have to come back. And why will you not come back? Towards the beginning of our ignorance, we think it's all miserable world. This world is all bad, all suffering, all pain. But when you go there and come back, you see it's all fun. Ramakrishna said the same thing, no? When you go there and come back, then you are a renewed person. E সংসার মজার কুটি, আমি খাই দাই আর মজা লুটি. This world is a place of mirth, of joy. I eat, sleep and enjoy. But before that, oh my God, death is there, suffering is there. It's all fun. When you come back from that level, you see it differently. It is the play of the divine going on. There you cannot say who is just, unjust. This is all fun. It's all fun when you go to see the movie. One is killing another person brutally. And no one is killing him brutally. It's all for fun. So similarly, in that level, it is all fun. So moksha means, I think, as I understand, being one with the reality which you call God. And liberation is the same. And there is no fear, there is no loss, there is no frustration. There is only one thing, Ananda, Ananda, Ananda. Say Ananda tumi bohe bandhuvar. You are Ananda, that Ananda you are. So that is called Mukti. What is your desire that you suffer as a monk? What is my desire that we suffer as a monk? Yes, our desire is that I will try to do good. That is our desire. And that desire kills us. To prove that you cannot do any good to anyone. They are God. Our desire that I shall run this place better. That's the desire. And ultimately, this desire has no value. It is God's play. Just be a part into it. When our ego comes and desire says, I'll do good. Do good is also a bad idea. Do God need my help? So that's another level. Yes, we are also driven by desires. And we have also desire like you also. I will take Rasagulla, I will take Sandesh. Those are also desires. So, but ultimately, desire means, yes, we have desire and go beyond good and bad. Doing good to others, it's a madness. who you will do good. If you believe in the philosophy of Vedanta, God needs my help or God helping God. So where are you? Why are you thinking I will do? So this I will die in Samadhi or when you are in different level. But normally we have our desire, that's why we suffer. Sometimes the crisis comes in the Ramakrishna tradition. I remember one thing, one Swami, he was the head of Howrah, Belghoria, Dhyanananda Swami. He was a great worshipper, mother worshipper, Durga Puja. He was conduct Durga Puja at Belur Math for years and years. And also a very good Swami. So some problem came in Naxalite movement or some, not that time Naxalite, some political issues created deep trouble for that institution. And it's very critical. See, sadhus are suffering, being critical. And they are thinking what will happen. So he came to Swami Shankarananda Maharaj, the president of the order, 7th president. He said and saluted him. He is also senior sadhu. Maharaj, what will happen? What is going to happen? This will destroy the center. Then Swami Shankarananda said, whose order is this? Your order, this organization, whose? It is yours? Yours, then you suffer. If it is his, he didn't say much words, only simple. Whose order or organization is this? Whose institution is this? It is yours? The same. And when you say that, then you are gone. And he said that his all the load of tension and anxieties as if disappeared when he heard from Swami these few words. That means when our ego comes, and ego comes, we are still imperfect. But when it will be ego, so long we will suffer. But if you say, Christ said, my yoke is lighter than that of yours. What is the idea? My load is much lighter than your yoke. To whatever comes from God, if it is real, we think that it is God's work, then that load does not bother you. But when I think then it comes upon me naturally. So these are our problems. What is the best way to practice dispassion and renunciation in householder's life? Householder's life or every life gives us good blows now and then. No one have to ask for that, it comes. From morning it is going on well, suddenly it comes at 5 o'clock in the evening. When that blow comes, then we'll have to say, hey, what is this? And then think that, oh my God, am I to detach? That moment what he says, I am not going to talk about this and I don't want to have this issue. Spontaneously we get detachment. But if we practice spiritual practice in our life, then beforehand I can think, yes, this is the world of duality. It will have its knocks and blows this way. I may be innocent, but this is the way of the world. If you know, and when that comes, before that you are discriminating, your attitude is becoming detached attitude. You will be guarded that yes, I'll have to do everything, but it is not me. Things will not happen as I wish. I do my best. Criticism may come. Okay, I accept it. Or good thanks come, I accept it. So if you can practice that type of thing, that will be helpful for not being affected. But detachment will come automatically. Life gives us detachment. See, a person is suffering so much from the bodily aches and pains and this. What mind tells? Do I want to carry this body? I don't want. Even I have seen some of the people in the hospice care and other. When I shall go, when I shall go. I don't want to live any more moment. But the detachment to the body has come automatic. Now I am attached to the body so much. But if I go into that situation, then I say, what's the use of this body? No. That means spontaneously that detachment will come. Life's knocks and blows gives us detachment, but intelligent people getting one or two detachment, knocks and blows, he can watch everywhere and tries to mentally detach from the objects and do the duty. Detach. People say, I don't think that much I used to think before. I do my duty, that's all, hands off. In many, work situation, in home situation, people express that. So that is a practice to understand that Buddha's idea we are talking about. Everything is kshanika, kshanika, kshanika. Everything is momentary, momentary, momentary. This will not stay. This moment is also going away. This moment will be going away. So everything is going, going, going. So if detachment comes like that with this analysis, then we will not try to hang on to something. We want to hang on because I think that it will stay. And I want to keep it for me. But nothing in this world, neither my body, neither my wealth, neither my prosperity, neither my education, neither my high quality, bad quality will be, we cannot take anything with us. It is passing, it is passing. But what I am, that ever pure soul, the conscious Satchidananda self, that is the only thing. So better to hang on to that. That consciousness will grow. That's why the world is not bad. It gives us some knocks and blows. Because of that, we can move forward. Okay? So 12:30. So we have few questions, because I will have to get questions up to the next time. So I'll keep them. We can talk about them later on. So thank you all. Closing song.
Page 51. Page 51. Everybody get a choice.
Page 51.
Page 51. Five one. 50.
Virajo ma hridhi kamolashaye. Ekbar virajo ma hridhi kamolashaye. Tomar bhuvan bhara rupti ekbar dekhe loi manayo. Bhuvan bhara rupti ekbar dekhe loi manayo. জগৎ